Last video, we established something important. Japanese car owners do not have opinions about their cars. They have convictions. The Camry owner is convinced. The Subaru owner is convinced and has a sticker to prove it. The Altima owner is convinced about something that nobody around them can quite identify. Today, 6 more. And the Mitsubishi finally gets the video it has been waiting for. The Toyota Prius. The Prius is not a car. Let us be clear about this from the beginning. The Prius is a position. It is a stance. It is a carefully chosen public statement about values that happens to also function as transportation. When someone buys a Prius, they are not solving the problem of how to get from one place to another. They are solving the problem of what their car says about them when they are not in it. And the answer they have chosen is, I made the responsible choice, and I would be lying if I said I did not want you to know that. The Prius has been doing this since 2001. That is over 2 decades of American drivers choosing a car, specifically because it communicates something, not because it is the fastest, not because it is the most comfortable, not because it is particularly beautiful, and we can all agree it is not particularly beautiful. The Prius has the aerodynamics of a bar of soap and the visual drama of a tax return. They chose it because it is correct in a way that is visible. The correctness is the entire point. Now, here is the thing about Prius owners that gets overlooked in every conversation about them. Most of them are right. The math on a Prius over the life of the car, in terms of fuel cost alone, is genuinely favorable. They did the research. They were not wrong. The efficiency is real. The reliability is real. The resale value is real. The Prius owner made a financially and environmentally sound decision, and the financial and environmental soundness is exactly why they made it, and also exactly why they want credit for it. The issue, and this is the precise issue, is not that Prius owners made the right choice. It is that they drive like they are doing you a personal favor by being on the road. The lane management, the speeds, the specific way a Prius appears in your rearview mirror on the highway at a velocity that suggests the driver believes fuel efficiency and forward momentum are the same thing. A Prius at 58 miles per hour on the interstate is not a car. It is a moving lesson about your priorities. The Prius owner would like you to know that they are not being slow. They are being efficient. These are different things, and the distinction matters to them enormously. You are welcome to disagree from behind them. You will be behind them for a while. The Toyota RAV4. The RAV4 is the best-selling SUV in America, not one of the best-selling, the best-selling. Every year, more Americans choose the RAV4 than any other SUV available to them. And the vast majority of those Americans chose it for exactly one reason. It is the Camry of SUVs. This sounds like an insult. It is not an insult. It is a description of what happens when a car company takes everything that made one product the obvious correct answer and applies it to an entirely different category. The RAV4 is reliable. The RAV4 is practical. The RAV4 depreciates less aggressively than the competition. The RAV4 will still be running when the people who chose based on how it looks on Instagram are on their second set of transmission problems. The RAV4 is correct. The RAV4 owner knows this. What makes the RAV4 owner interesting is how uninteresting they are about it. The Prius owner will tell you about the efficiency. The Subaru owner will tell you about the lifestyle. The RAV4 owner will tell you it is a RAV4 in the tone of someone stating their address. Matter of fact, complete, requiring no elaboration. It is a RAV4. Yes, it has the cargo space. Yes, it has all-wheel drive. Yes, it is going to start in January. Is there a specific question? There is not. Then we are done here. The RAV4 owner is the SUV equivalent of the Camry owner, and they share the same fundamental psychological state, which is the complete absence of car-related anxiety. They are not worried their car will let them down. Their car is not going to let them down. They know this the way you know the sun will rise. It is not faith. It is observed pattern. The RAV4 has been rising every morning for years, and it will keep rising. The RAV4 owner has already moved on to worrying about things that are actually uncertain. The Honda CR-V. The CR-V owner did the same research as the RAV4 owner and arrived at Honda instead of Toyota. This distinction is the entire psychology of the CR-V owner in one sentence. They are not Toyota people. They are Honda people. The reliability conclusion is identical. The path to that conclusion went through Honda, and this tells you something specific about how they process information and what they trust. The Honda way of earning trust is different from the Toyota way. Toyota says, "Here is 70 years of production data and a reputation so consistent it has become a cultural artifact." Honda says, "Here is an engine that thinks it is a precision instrument and a history of people getting emotionally attached to their Civics in ways they did not plan for." Both arguments work. The RAV4 owner responded to the first argument. The CRV owner responded to the second one. The CRV owner is slightly more likely than the RAV4 owner to have opinions about their car. Not strong opinions, not Mazda-level opinions. But there is a quiet pride in the CRV owner that does not exist in quite the same form in the RAV4 owner. The RAV4 owner is satisfied. The CRV owner is satisfied and also a little bit right about something. They cannot fully articulate what they are right about. It has something to do with Honda. It has something to do with the engine. They would need a moment to put it into words. But they are right. They are pretty sure they are right. The Lexus ES and the Lexus RX. The Lexus is a Toyota that went to graduate school and came back with a different last name. This is not a secret. Everyone knows it. The people who work at Toyota know it. The people who buy Lexus know it. The Lexus owner knows it at a molecular level because they are often the exact person who previously drove a Camry or a RAV4 and made a very conscious decision to cross a specific line. The line is this. At a certain point in certain people's lives, a Toyota badge stops feeling like a statement about values and starts feeling like an absence of one. Not because Toyota is bad. Because something happened, professionally or financially or psychologically, that made the Lexus feel appropriate. And appropriate is the right word. Lexus owners do not buy the car because it is exciting. They buy it because it fits. It fits their life at the current stage. It fits what they need the car to communicate. It fits who they are now rather than who they were when they were maximizing reliability per dollar. The ES is the Camry that grew up, the Camry that got promoted, the Camry that now has an office with a door. The person who drives the ES had a Camry or something equivalent for years, and at some point the Camry stopped being right, not because it stopped being reliable, but because they stopped needing to communicate that they made the sensible choice. They already made the sensible choice. Everyone around them knows it. Now they can communicate something slightly different. The ES communicates. Reliable, successful, tasteful, done. It does all four simultaneously without effort and without announcement. The RX is the RAV4 that got promoted. Same logic, different body style. The RX owner looked at the SUV market, concluded that the RAV4 is correct for what it is, and then decided they wanted the version of correct that also felt like an achievement. The RX feels like an achievement. It is quiet in the way that expensive things are quiet. Not flashy, just expensive and quiet. The RX owner sits in the driver's seat and feels like things went the way they were supposed to go. This feeling is worth the premium to them. The premium is not small. They have decided this anyway. The Subaru WRX. At some point during this video, the WRX owner has been sitting there waiting. They have been patient, which is unusual for them. They have been waiting because they know they are in a different category from everyone else on this list and they want to be recognized as such. They are right. They are in a different category. The Subaru WRX owner and the Subaru Outback owner are related only by badge. The Outback owner bought a car for their lifestyle. The WRX owner bought a lifestyle for their car. This is an important inversion. The Outback owner goes on hikes and the Outback facilitates this. The WRX owner drives the WRX and the WRX is the activity. There is nowhere to go that matters except the road and what you do on it and how the car responds when you ask it to do something that a sensible car would politely decline. The WRX is the only car on this list with a genuine performance pedigree. It comes from rally racing, real rally racing. On actual dirt roads in actual weather conditions where the outcome of the race was genuinely uncertain. The WRX owner knows this history. They know every generation. They have opinions about the change from the EJ engine to the FA engine that they have shared with people who had not asked and have no particular interest in this topic. They shared it anyway. The history matters. The pedigree matters. You cannot understand the WRX without understanding where it came from, and the WRX owner is here to make sure you understand. The WRX community online is one of the most intense car communities on the internet. Not angry, Intense. There is a difference. They are passionate and specific and occasionally exhausting, and they will absolutely tell you what is wrong with the new generation before you have finished asking about the new generation. They love this car in a way that the other owners on this list do not quite love their cars. The Camry owner is satisfied. The RAV4 owner is confident. The WRX owner is in love. It is messy and slightly irrational and completely real. The Mitsubishi. We saved the best for last, not the best in terms of engineering distinction or cultural status or community intensity. The best in terms of the specific human experience of owning one. Mitsubishi has been operating in America in a state of managed uncertainty for the better part of 2 decades. Their lineup is small. Their dealerships are sparse. Their marketing is the kind of thing that happens when a company is not entirely sure what it is selling but is fairly committed to selling it. The Outlander, the Eclipse Cross, the Mirage cars that exist, that function, that are purchased by actual human beings who researched their options and arrived at a Mitsubishi and said, yes, this works. The Mitsubishi owner is the most underrated figure in this entire video. They made a choice. Not the flashy choice. Not the safe choice. Not the choice that impresses anyone at a Cars and Coffee. The choice that made sense for their budget and their requirements at a specific moment in their life, and they committed to it and they are driving it and it starts every morning, and they are not interested in anyone's opinion about it. What the Mitsubishi owner has that nobody else on this list has is a complete freedom from expectation. The Prius owner is expected to care about the environment. The RAV4 owner is expected to be reliable. The WRX owner is expected to have opinions. The Mitsubishi owner is expected to have bought a Mitsubishi, and that is it. The bar is the car. They cleared it. They are on the road. They are going somewhere. There is also, if we are being completely honest, something quietly heroic about buying a Mitsubishi in 2026 in America. You made a decision against the current. You found value where other people were not looking. You are driving a car that virtually nobody talks about, and it gets you where you are going and costs less to maintain than the alternatives, and nobody is going to stop and ask about it in a parking lot, and you have accepted all of this completely, and you are fine. The Mitsubishi owner is fine. They were always going to be fine. The car starts. Drop it in the comments. Part 1, Part 2, which one is actually you? And if yours was not in either video, tell us which one it should have been. We may be back for a part 3. The Japanese auto industry has more owners to decode than any 2 videos can hold.